Hey folks, Kaya here. I Should Roll will always be free to listen to, but it's not free to make. So please consider supporting us by subscribing to our Ko-fi at ko-fi.com/Intergalactic Improv Initiative. You'll find the link in the show notes. As a stellar streamer, you'll receive exclusive bonus content and our enduring gratitude. Tiers start at $2 per month. See you on Calliope Station.
Correctly with the correct amount.
D20 Radio, where gamers roll.
www.d20radio.com.
A podcast by the Intergalactic Improv Initiative.
Dangerous Dangers, Episode 13, The Case of the Cranky Clous, featuring the voices of Amanda Cotter and creator Kaya Renwick. There is no such thing as a good way to go. I should roll. Last time on Dangerous Dangers, the Corsica crew ran into a shadow broker agent who gave them intel on the marathon as thanks for alerting them to Minos' infiltration into their network. They headed to Club Eternity to consider their new data over drinks, where Athena ran into an old informant. In a departure from the norm, Clous excused herself from the gathering rather than spend time with her new friends, and explicitly told Athena it might be dangerous to be around her. Confused and concerned, Athena has left the Elcor to her devices, in the crowded corridors of Nosastra.
January 20th, 2189. Terran Universal Coordinated Calendar. Ilium. Thessale System. Crescent Nebula. Nosastra. Commercial District.
Clous, you have just left your friends in Eternity after a small, we could probably call it an altercation with Athena. What are you doing now?
Well, I am now rather aimlessly walking the halls and I leave Eternity and wander as any good detective in a noir film would through the seedy streets of Ilium, a fine mist gently following me in the air, and wondering why her? Why did she have to walk into my door?
That dame with the legs.
That dame.
All the legs.
With all the legs. So yeah, walking the streets, feeling not myself. Clous feels very much not herself.
What is Clous feeling right now?
Great question. It's a multitude of things. Clous, on one hand, is feeling scared because she doesn't recognize the other feelings that are coursing through her. And the primary feeling that is frightening her is a sense of rage and desire for violence that seems to have come rather out of nowhere. Not out of nowhere, but she's been feeling it since her time in the fight on the Presidium.
Right.
That she doesn't like violence. She's a pacifist at heart, but of course she will defend her friends, and if somebody's gonna hurt someone else, you gotta take them down first. So they don't do more damage than they intended. They don't do the damage they intended to do. And Clous, I don't want to say she enjoyed squishing Susanna Scutari's face into the ground. However, she would have kept going if not interrupted. And that feeling has been haunting her in the background of her mind, and it reared its ugly head again, the recollection of that when we were in that room partying.
Right. Unsettling.
Yes. Very unsettled.
Yeah. Okay. What does Clues normally do when she's feeling unsettled for whatever reason? I can't imagine perhaps not to this degree, but some of these feelings I would imagine hung around during her time in the Blood Pack. So what did she do when she encountered these uncomfortable feelings after leaving the Blood Pack?
Well, shortly after leaving the Blood Pack, she would go to Kato, and they would be able to talk about them because he also shared similar feelings, and she felt it was safe to be vulnerable with him. I mean, she's very vulnerable with nearly everybody, but she tries to keep a positive outlook and a friendly, happy demeanor towards mostly everyone because everyone suffers enough and is sad enough, and she doesn't want to contribute to that. She wants to bring people joy.
Sure.
But Kato, she had a special relationship with, and she would talk to him, and then once Kato was no longer around, she tends to talk to her tiny little Kato that she keeps with her, that little Batarian stuffed toy that she unpacked on the ship.
Well, does she want to go back to the ship, or does she perhaps want to consider... No, it's a bit of a trek.
It's a bit of a trek, and it's connected to everything that's been happening. It doesn't... While Kato Jr. is there, she doesn't feel like that's not providing her any sense of safety.
Sure.
I think she would seek out... Not I think. Clues would seek out a place of emotional safety, a place that she understands to represent emotional safety, because she hasn't found emotional safety virtually anywhere else. So I think Clues would try to find some sort of counselor.
Okay, all right. Then roll me investigation, and let's see what Clues finds.
Let's see. Not much. Investigation. That is a +0, so that's a 9.
That's what I thought. Okay, that's fine. You are on in a commercial spaceport. Ilium's stock in trade is trade, the exchange of credits for goods and services. So it is not difficult to find the equivalent of a mall directory.
Excellent.
All right. And yeah, you pull it up. Clues pulls it up on her Omni tool and does some searches, and it's a little tough to find quite the right set of keywords. But eventually, Clues does find a listing for a Sen Panaral, who is listed as a psychotherapist and counselor a couple of neighborhoods over from where Clues is right now.
Relieved. Good. A lead. And Clues begins the trek there. If it's a little ways over, is there public transit on?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. You go find one of the little rapid transit stops, and you can punch in your thing, and you'll get a little rent-a-sky car that'll float around, and you can drive it over.
Oh my god, I'm gonna drive it over?
I mean, it probably has an autopilot. Most do.
Okay, good. I think I should probably put it on autopilot because Clues is not capable of.
Clues does not drive.
She could. Clues drives. Clues drives.
But Clues probably doesn't drive stick. Let's leave it at that.
Yeah. Oh no, Clues definitely needs an automatic. Those big ol' Elcor hands, you know?
Yeah. I mean, it would be different if you were driving like an Elcor designed vehicle.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But right now, if she was trying to drive stick, she'd just yank that thing out.
Of
Car
course.
goes careening into a bunch of other stuff. It's a mess, and
Very, very
who's
Clouseau,
going to pay for all that?
You will say, but you know. Okay, you hire a sky car. It flies you over, and quite soon you're in it's a little bit less of the commercial spaceport side of town, and it's more the office building area of Nosastra. So think more Thane's recruitment mission, where you're at the Dantius Towers, right? The big, tall skyscraper is very urban, and you find the address listed on this Sen Panaral's business listing. It's in one of the many office buildings, about halfway up. There's a lift. You go up. It's almost the girl from Ipanema, but it's like not quite in the in the elevator.
Clues kind of hums it off tune, like feeling the girl from Ipanema. Just it brings her joy.
Yeah. Oh, I love that so much. Clues finds the little plaque beside the door that reads Sen Panaral, psychotherapist and counselor. It's green. This is a public office. I assume Clues goes in.
After a beat, Clues looks at the door and takes in a deep breath and walks in.
Okay. It is a lovely little oasis. It's a fairly large and spacious room. The window is there's one window along the whole side of the wall, letting in the last rays of the evening sun, and you can see the beautiful blue and purple cityscape out there. You can see the air traffic flitting by. Obviously, Sen has invested in some soundproofing, though, because you don't hear the traffic, which is nice. It's just nice and chill. And there are seats here that are comfortable for species other than bipeds. There's even an Elcor chair. There is a beanbag, one of those big beanbag chairs that takes up kind of most of the one corner. But there's a seat that's definitely designed to accommodate a Turian carapace. There's even this weird chunk of like crystal-y stuff in another corner that you vaguely you wonder if it might be Rachni furniture because it looks so very different from everything else. There are there's this eclectic collection of chairs sort of circled haphazardly around a low coffee table that is scattered with data pads. There are shelves full of more data pads and books. There's a few other tables sort of scattered around. This is very clearly a waiting room. And one of the sideboards has like a pitcher of water and, again, a selection of cups that are, again, tailored to many different kinds of species. Despite the eclectic nature of all the cups, they all appear to be made by the same artist. They're like earthenware pottery cups, but it's clearly a set. So right next to the very, human-sized tumbler cup mug thing is a large, almost for a human, it would probably be a small jug. But it is not only the size for an Elcor to hold, but it's covered over the top and it has two vents on the side because Elcor mouths are vertical. And so you can pour it in from the side. It's properly designed for an Elcor.
Well, you had me at Elcor Beanbag, and by you had me, I mean you had me crying at Elcor Beanbag.
And in between, like beside the pitcher of water, there's a couple of plants. But you notice And actually, I'm going to get you to roll a perception check to see how much you notice of this. Because this is a subtle one.
Well, that I'm better at that.
I think we decided that you got an advantage on perception because you're an Elcor?
I believe so.
Okay.
All right, so we're going to roll 2. I hope the next one's better. It technically was. It was technically better.
Oh, no.
The first one was a 6, and
Okay.
the second was a 7.
You don't add anything to those?
I do.
Okay.
Perception is +5, so
Okay, that's
that gives me a
better.
12.
Okay, so 12. Okay. Yeah, it
Like I
takes
said, this is what I'm good at.
Yes, it takes you a moment because you're noticing these little details that they draw your eye because they don't exist very frequently off of Elcor worlds like Dakuna and Thunawanuro, right? Or in special Elcor neighborhoods, right? Dakunatun or something, right? Yes, but after you've gone like, oh, that's really sweet, you realize that this room doesn't smell. Everywhere you go, you are assaulted by smells. The other species can't help it. It's just it's the way they are, right? But for Elcor, existing in a multi-species environment is sensory overwhelm all the time, and nobody notices because nobody else has noses as good as an Elcor. But you realize after you've been in here for about 30 seconds that this room almost doesn't smell like anything. There's a very faint scent of recycled air. And you look up and you'd notice the vents on the ceiling. But you'd also notice in another corner, there's a purifier unit, an air purifier unit. And so this person it's also extremely quiet in here, as mentioned. And so this person is clearly making as much of an effort as they can to make their space accessible to as many species as possible.
Clues, as she's taking in all of this, takes many more deep breaths, both in an effort to calm her nerves and in awe of the thoughtfulness of the person whose place that she just walked into, and mumbles a quiet, "Odd. Thank you," to herself.
The door on the other side of the room slides open, and a tall Spitaliere woman walks in. Her skin is a pale brown with dark brownish black mottling and a few little white spots. Her eyes are dark brown as well, but she's missing one of her top ones, and she has an eye patch over top of it. And she's wearing loose clothing in bright patterns. Think like sort of like a sari, that sort of style. Very different from what you would see most Spitalians wear, but she's clearly quite comfortable in it. So she's got these bright color to oranges and pinks and browns, very earthy. Around her neck, she has several long strings of wooden beads, which some of them have carvings in them. They're all different colors of wood, all polished to a gleam. Most of them are circular, but some of them are different shapes. And one of the strings hangs maybe to her collarbone, and the longest one hangs about to her navel. And they have a very slight clatter when she moves, but not a very. They've clearly been so well worn that they're almost soft to the touch. And she's wearing leather sandals, which you see kind of peek out as she walks in. She stops in the doorway, takes you in for a second, and then very, very slightly bows and lifts her left hand, palm up, which you would know from Kato is a sign of respectful greeting between equals. And she meets your eyes with her lower eyes and says, "Welcome."
Clous repeats the gesture back to her. And I do want to ask, is there I'm sure that there is. Clous would also add whatever flourish there would be to not only display respect between equals, but also gratitude.
Sure.
And I don't know what that would look like.
Make it up.
Oh. Gosh,
I don't know what it is either.
No, I know you're so right. Okay, so Clous would repeat the gesture back to her, and in addition to the gesture of respect between equals, Clous puts her right palm into her left palm when she bows as a symbol of gratitude in addition to the respect, and then says, "Overwhelmed. I need help."
As you say that, as you do the extra gesture, you see her brow plates or her brow ridges rise slightly in surprise, and then she smiles a little bit. And then as you speak, those brow ridges come back down in concern. And she takes a step sort of like back, like a pivot step back into the side, and she gestures for you to come forward into the next room. She says again, "Welcome. Please come in. How may I help you?"
What was the word that you used before about how she's feeling? Unsettled. Thank you.
Oh.
Unsettled. I am frightening myself. I am feeling feelings of violence, of craving violence. It is not like me. I need to not feel this way.
Are you moving as you say this, or are you kind of stuck in place?
Definitely stuck in place, just like absolutely frozen in every possible way.
Okay. She listens. Abnormally for a Batarian, she holds eye contact with you as you're speaking. And when you finish, she nods slightly, and she says, "That sounds disturbing and uncomfortable, and I'm very sorry to hear it. I'm glad you came to me. I think I can help. Would you prefer to sit out here, or would you like to come into my office?" And as she's saying this, she raises her right hand, palm up, and then lowers it, which is a funny thing you picked up from Kato, which is meant to underline that this is not a loaded question at all. It is two options. If she'd prefer one or the other, she would have moved her hand a different way to kind of like nudge you or indicate in one direction or the other.
With curiosity and concern, can the beanbag come into the office with us?
She smiles, and you kind of notice that she's trying to like not smile too big, but it's a genuine smile. It's a heart smile. And she points into the room. She says, "I have another one in here."
Oh my God. Clous then bows her head in gratitude and looks back up and says, gotta look at my list.
I hope you have Kleenex with you.
Oh my god, I absolutely don't. For everyone who's listening and not watching this right now, because they can't watch this right now, tears have been like gently streaming down my face this whole time. I'm just nonstop crying.
Do I need to page Nick to bring you a Kleenex box?
No, that's what the bottom of my shirt is for.
Reasonable.
That's how that works, right?
Yeah.
Timorously. Then let us go in.
She gestures you in and then follows, and the door closes behind. Her office is very similar to the room that you've just left. Again, it's the same sort of the hodgepodge of chairs, although it's a little more clear that she'll move one into like her chair, and so it's not so much a big circle, but more like she can swap the chairs in and out as needed. Again, the lights in here are a little lower, although they can, I would imagine, they can be brighter or lower as they need to be, but they start out a little lower. Again, lots of bookshelves filled with data pads and stuff. There's a sideboard with the fixings to make tea, as well as a small refrigerated unit underneath it. There's a bowl of fruit, which is behind or in like a glass-fronted cabinet. So again, the room doesn't smell like anything. There are still a couple of plants in here, and one in particular on the small table between the two main chairs, which, as you're coming in, she moves the beanbag chair over so that it's there for you. On the coffee table is a Batarian plant, one you recognize, the Farhanin Kul. It's a flowering plant, looks a little bit bushy, with dark green waxy leaves and then clusters of small 5-petaled blue flowers with bright yellow centers. And it doesn't smell very strongly, so you do get a little bit of like this warm, springy scent, but it's certainly not overwhelming, and you wouldn't call it perfumey. Just a little bit earthy, and that's on the table there. And this room also has this is her working room. This is her office. It's got a desk in the corner with her console, and there's a few data pads and things there where she keeps her records or what have you. You'll notice there's a diploma on the wall that has her name, Sen Panaral. It's in multi-species counseling from the University of Ceres. She pulls the beanbag chair over. She gestures for you to take it, and then she crosses over to the sideboard with the tea fixings and drink fixings, and says, "Is there anything I can get you to drink?" She kind of looks at you, and you know the twitch of the eyebrows from Kato, where it's a little bit tongue-in-cheek. She knows she's stereotyping, but it's supposed to be the icebreaker question. She says, "Onufri blossom tea, perhaps?"
Clues' own eye twitches just a little bit. However, this time in minor frustration and disappointment. And Clues says, "I'm so sorry."
That's okay. Take your time.
Begrudgingly, "Yes, I will take some tea."
Would you say that Clues felt any anger in that frustration?
Yes. Yes, I would.
Then I would like you to roll a resolve check.
All right. Maybe let's roll higher, you guys, please. I don't wanna upset the nice lady who's here to help me.
Uh-oh.
It listened. This time it's a 10 on the die.
Okay.
That's a 13.
Okay. You take 2 points of psychic damage.
Oh my god.
So that goes directly to your HP.
Oh yeah, no shield.
No shields, no armor against that one. If you reach 0 due to psychic damage, you will not die. You will, however, fall unconscious. So just keep track of that. You have just taken 2 points of psychic damage. Surprise!
Yeah, no,
Amanda
that's great.
didn't know there would be rolling in this.
Kaya goes, "What's your HP total?" And I was like, "Oh no."
I thought we were having a therapy session. Joke's on you, therapy can hurt. So what this feels like to Clous is as she feels this spike of, not the fucking tea again, this everybody think it's I'm sure Clous has had headaches before. Innumerable times, likely.
Yeah.
Especially working for Charlie Marlowe. Probably just a constant headache by the time that ended.
And an ulcer to go with it.
Yeah. Not helped by the pickled fish eggs in the trash.
Oh my god.
If y'all haven't listened to Clous' minisode, go do so now.
R.I.P. Ulna.
So Clous feels like just a little twinge behind their eyebrow of this, like a headache threatening.
Zappy pain. Mm-hmm.
Right? But it kind of passes. Sen tilts her head and puts the Onufri Blossom tea jar back down quite firmly. And says, "Is there something else I can get you?"
With the overwhelming need to be polite. No, I will take the tea. It is fine.
Sen ponders this for a heartbeat and then picks up the jar of tea, opens it, makes a big show of like peering at it, closes it, and says, "Do you know, I'm so sorry. I think it's gone off. I can give water, coffee."
Clous perks up at the mention of coffee and says, "Grateful and relieved. Yes, I will take coffee, thank you."
She proceeds to use the 22nd century equivalent of a Keurig to make again, like the Elcor-sized and properly shaped mug. Which does require like an adapter for the Keurig machine to get the liquid into the thing. There's like a hole at the top. There's a funnel. It's a whole deal. It's fine. And soon the rich aroma of a well-roasted coffee fills the room. And she opens the refrigerator door and says, "Milk, sugar, I just laid in a wonderful box of cream puffs if you'd like some of those too. I find they go wonderfully with this coffee."
I can't think of any word to describe Clous right now other than overwhelmed because it is such a mass of like gratitude and relief and shock and confusion. And so Clous says, "Overwhelmed. Yes, please."
She takes the box of profiteroles out and puts it on the table and opens it and just leaves it there. And then stirs in, I think what she probably does is the say when for the milk and sugar, and it just keeps going. until, like, the cup is just about full, and she just kind of cuts it off of her own accord. And sticks, like, a little stir stick in the top, the hole that the funnel goes through, and gives it a good stir, and then brings it over. It requires 2 hands for her to bring this beautiful sky blue earthenware mug over, with careful dimples for where the Elcor fingertips would go. She sets it in front of Clous, in front of the beanbag chair, and then grabs her own water bottle, a well-used water bottle from her desk, and sits across from Clous and says,
Can Clous say something?
"Of course, yes." She sits across from Clous and smiles.
Enthusiastically. Thank you. This is perfect.
"You are most welcome," she replies. You notice now that she has her water bottle in both hands, and her facial, like you still get the micro expressions, but I think, actually roll me insight to see how much you glean from this.
Yo. That is not a happy face, everyone.
Oh no.
That's an 8.
Okay. All right. You're not certain of this, but you definitely notice that she's toning down her, like, a Batarian's habitual body language and micro expressions. They're still there. And you would guess that it's, like, the professional face, because she must talk to so many people in so many different species. But she's very receptive. And yeah, she says, "You're most welcome. I hope that you feel comfortable here, and if I can at all make it easier for you to handle and express these deeply unsettling feelings that you're having, then, well, I think we're halfway to fixing the problem, aren't we?"
Tenderly. Yes, I do believe so. Thank you for making me feel so welcome.
I am happy to. Now, how would you like to proceed? I am happy to listen. I am happy to ask questions and prompt. Whatever would make you feel most comfortable and seen and heard.
Woefully. You remind me of him.
May I ask of whom?
My old friend. My old friend, Kato.
Pardon me for the assumption, but that does possibly sound like a Batarian name?
I want to clarify that this is all still woefully. And so Clous does not feel the need to reiterate the same feeling, since nothing has changed. For the foreseeable future, this is all woeful. Clous says, yes. He was my best friend. He was the kindest friend that I have ever met. And I miss him. He left me when the Reapers attacked the Citadel. Grimly,
If he were here, perhaps I would not be feeling this way. I begrudgingly, recently, I was in a fight, and I was protecting my friends, and I do not like to fight, but I do protect my friends. With crushing regret. When I can. Continuing begrudgingly. This time, I stomped a woman's skull. And I did not stop. I could not stop. Until everyone stopped. Terrified. I do not know why I could not stop. And I cannot stop thinking about it. I cannot stop thinking about the moment, about my foot, about the feeling of her and the ground underneath it, about the pressure it took. Not much. About the mess that it made. And I wanted to stop.
Sen listens quietly through all of this, nods along in a few places. You notice a few micro expressions of listening, understanding. And then when Luz finishes, she sets her water bottle on the table, folds her hands in her lap, and just watches Clues for a few moments. And after those few moments, she asks, "Do you know how your friend died?"
With the unfathomable pain of grief. I do not. All that I know is he was gone. And the last thing he did was give me this to protect. And then she takes off her hat.
And what is in or under the hat?
Under the hat is a... never talked what it looked like.
We did not. Nope.
Now I'm like, oh no, I have to think of that too. Under the hat is a very small crystal type thing. But it looks more metal than crystal.
Okay.
But it is crafted in a way that almost makes it look like a gem. And there is a special, like, you know how you would set a stone into a ring or piece of jewelry. Yep. There is a special place in her hat that is used as a setting for the stone to keep it in place.
Okay. So you take the hat off, and there is this piece of this crystal-like metal thing set in the base in the hat. Okay. So is it faceted, or is it like a cabochon cut where it's smooth, or what sort of?
No, it is smooth.
Okay.
It has very few sides.
Okay.
It is. Yes, it's not like it would be faceted the way that a diamond is cut.
Okay.
And thank you, Tink.
What color is it?
It is a grayish blue.
Okay. Okay, cool. All right.
Her favorite color.
Oh. Sen looks at the whatever it is in the hat and nods. And then returns her gaze to Clous and says, "Did you ever fight the Reapers during the war?"
With shame and fear. No, I did not. I was protected by the Keepers. And when I returned, everything had changed.
Sen smiles faintly, but from the angle of her brow ridges, it's a sad smile. And she says, "Do you think it might be possible that your anger is rooted in a sense of shame that you could not and did not defend your best friend?" I've broken Amanda.
It's so hard to sound even-keeled and not emotional when you are sobbing.
You're doing an excellent job.
Thank you. I'm like, do Elcor cry? We didn't talk about that, and they probably don't. I know, make it up. Now Elcor cry because they have to. Miserably. Yes. He protected me, and I did nothing for him.
She holds up a finger just to say, "Wait a moment." And then she leans over to the side of her chair and grabs a bag and like rustles in it for a second and comes out with she peers into the bag and she's like poking through it. And then she comes out with a Batarian sock puppet.
Oh God. Please don't give this to Elfist.
Clearly made with love by her. These have to be handmade. But you can, and like, so it's like the right color and she's Sharpied on brow ridges and like sewn on beads for eyes. And she sets up the little Batarian hand puppet and then tilts her head, thinks better of it, takes it off, and hands it to Clous, or offers it to Clous. And with it still in her hand, she says, "What would he say to you?"
Clous is frozen again and can't bring herself to take the puppet, let alone think what Kato might say.
Okay. Sen waits a few seconds to let Clous process, and when it becomes clear that Clous is not ready for that, Clous isn't there yet, she puts the puppet down on the table.
Broken-hearted. I am sorry.
She shakes her head. You have nothing to be sorry for. I can't tell you how many people come into my office every day not understanding why they snap at their kids, why they don't feel like they love their spouse anymore, why they break things without meaning to and then wish to burn the whole world down. You are not alone in this. She sits back a little bit and she makes a wide gesture to everything, and then leans in again and says, there isn't a soul in this galaxy that does not feel the effects of what was done to us. The events may be different, the details may be different, and we have all lost on a scale that is truly unimaginable. Those ripples extend and extend and extend. There is nothing shameful in either the choices you made or your emotions now. There is nothing shameful about wishing you could have done more.
Anxiously, I already could not protect my friend. And now with these feelings, I am afraid of hurting my new ones.
That is reasonable, and that is wise, and that is kind. That is good. I would suggest a couple of things. First, she taps the puppet again and says, I suggest you tell someone. And remember, when you do what I said, that everyone has been affected. You are not more broken than anyone else. I promise. Second, telling someone, especially someone in your new friends, may mean that they will be able to help you when you feel this way. Third, I would suggest keeping an anger journal. Note the times where you feel that fury, that rage, and afterwards ask yourself what the true cause was. I suspect you will find that more often than not, it is fear or shame. And the more you surround yourself with people who will meet you in those feelings and understand, the more you will reteach that Elcor of the last 3 years that is still hiding, terrified in the Citadel, knowing that her best friend is out there somewhere and she can't do anything. You need to be that friend to that version of you, and you need to surround yourself with people who do the same.
Frightened and dutifully, I will. Thank you.
You're welcome. She lifts her Omni tool and beep boops it, taps it a few times. And yours has a little flash of she sent you her her contact information.
Yay!
And a bill.
Yeah, naturally.
Yeah.
Hopefully my insurance covers this.
I'm sure it's fine. And then she goes to put a hand on the puppet, but her gaze pauses on the hat. And she indicates it with her hand and she says, "Do you know what it is that he left you?"
Unquestioningly, I do not. I never asked. I only know that it was important to him that I protect it. It was important to him that I protect it. And so I will keep it safe forever.
She nods again. And then lifts a hand sort of sideways, indicating that this is a tentative question. Perhaps you might find some peace if you figured out what it was. Perhaps it has a message from him.
Oh, God.
He clearly wanted you to have it, so...
Yeah, no, if Clues could break down any more than she already is, she can. She can and she does. Deliriously hopeful. I had never thought of that. I must see what it is. Pained and wistfully, I would love to hear from him. One more time.
She smiles, again the sad smile, and she leans in a little bit before saying, "I must admit that I am not as familiar as I should be with Elcor rituals and traditions around death, but I am deeply familiar with those around Batarian culture, and so I will say that I pray his eyes were open when he died, and I would encourage you to speak to him. It is a tradition that we are finally bringing back after the many years of the hegemony, that our loved ones' spirits not only leave their bodies through their eyes when they die, but that They exist around us and can be spoken to. And if your friendship with him was as deep and meaningful, even a half as deep and meaningful as it seems to be from what you are saying, it would not surprise me if he is here with you. And I think he would like it if you spoke to him. But that is between you and your spirits.
Well, Clous absolutely does speak to him through Kato Jr. She's not going to mention it right now. She is going to just
Sure.
take the kind words.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Totally fair. Totally fair.
And Clous will say, affection and gratitude as deep as the ocean. Thank you for helping me. And thank you for remembering him with me.
She bows her head, closes all of her eyes for a fairly long moment, and then raises her head again and opens her palms upwards to you and says, "It is truly an honor. Go in peace."
Clous leans in. Affectionate bonk. And then turns and walks away.
You have been listening to I Should Roll, Dangerous Dangers, Episode 13, The Case of the Cranky Clous, featuring the voices of Amanda Cotter as Clous, and Kaya Renwick as everyone and everything else. Music and sound effects are used under Creative Commons or royalty-free licenses. For the extended credits, please see the show notes. And for more information, please visit ishouldroll.com. Find us everywhere on social media at I Should Roll, and don't forget to leave us a review. I Should Roll is an Intergalactic Improv Initiative production. This fan podcast is a transformative work and is not affiliated with Electronic Arts or BioWare. Thank you for listening.
The night bird calls and shadows creep into my mind, into my sleep. I do not know if I shall rise or open up these weary eyes. The withered trees, how they creak and moan beneath the moon, how the demons groan. They come to me and pull me down, down into the swamp without a sound. I sink again just like a stone. My body's cold and I moan. I do not think that I shall rise or open up these weary eyes. I sink once more, just like a stone. The darkness chills me to the bone. The water's deep, I shall not rise. No more to lift these weary eyes. No more to lift these